Hi everyone, how are you? So it is Friday evening. You guys are live here. I'll stand up for a little bit. You guys are live here in the Silhouette Cricut and Cameo group with Brush by Brandy. And if you guys don't already, I hope you'll go follow my page. So my name is Brandy and I am a Dixie Belle Paint brand ambassador. And so I was asked here tonight because I'm going to show you some techniques and products that I would use from the Dixie Belle Paint line to make custom signs. So really quick, I want to say I do own a Silhouette machine. But hi Emily, yay. If you guys can hear me okay, let me know you can see me okay. I always appreciate that. Everything's coming through loud and clear. So I do own a Silhouette machine. And so I'm glad I'm in the group because I don't know how to use it. But I'll tell you what I do know. I do know paint. So I'm here to talk to you about paint tonight. And I hope to learn a lot of things about using my Silhouette machine from you guys. So you guys are the experts on that, and I'm going to talk about paint tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and lower my camera down and talk to you a little bit about what I'm working on. Hi Denise, how are you guys? So let me show you what my project is for you. I can get you down here. Okay, so this is the sign I'm going to work on. My table so we can see everything. I know my letters are going to be backwards, but this is the sign I'm going to work on. So I cut these stencils myself, yay me, on my first try using my Silhouette tonight. And I'm super proud of myself because it really, usually I struggle with having to take me a few passes. So this is my design. And what I'm painting on is I'm using a custom palette board. So Dixie Belle has partnered with paletteparty.org. And they actually sell these custom palette boards on their website. So I put the link in my post above. If you're interested in any of the products I'm using tonight, that would be the link to get them through. But they do offer these custom palette boards. So that's what this is with my custom made stencil. And can I tell you guys what I'm doing this for? I'm about to be an aunt. This is the first time I get to say it on camera. My baby sister is pregnant. And so they've already chosen a name for their baby girl. So this is going to be for my brand new niece. Her name is going to be Adeline. And so I'm going to make a little sign for her nursery. And I also get to make a furniture piece for her too. And so how I prepared my sign is the boards come already pre-sanded, but I did do a fine little sanding on there with a 220 grit sandpaper. And then I've got 2 coats of Dixie Belle paint in vintage duck egg on my sign board. So that's all the prep work I've done. I didn't want to have to put a base coat on and then weed my stencil out. So, and then I placed my stencil on with my clear contact paper as my transfer paper, and I weeded my stencil design out. And that's where I am right now. So now I'm going to take, and we're going to add some color to this, and then we're going to also add some floral designs with a redesign with Prima transfer. And that's what these are. So we're going to use some florals on here too. I think it'll be really cute when I'm done. If not, I'll keep it for myself. Okay, so what I'm going to start out with is I want to add some color to my antlers and then to my name that I put on my sign here. So my favorite of stencil brushes to use are actually made by Redesign with Prima, and they're these. They're natural bristle stencil brushes. And they're just the perfect density for stenciling with. So I get a lot of use out of these. I find myself using them a lot because they are the best at what they do. And I have a set of them. They come in a set of 3 and a set of 5. And you can see they come in different sizes there. You know, if you guys can see everything, I'm doing okay. I try to point you guys down to be a little bit better. Okay, I figure you don't need to see my face tonight, so you want to see the project I'm working on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, the color scheme that I chose is some light pastels because this is going to be for a baby girl's nursery. I've got my vintage duck egg background. I've got my manatee gray, which is a soft gray with blue undertones. I've got tea rose, which I love tea rose. Tea rose is a dusty pink color. And then I have, this is a brand new color that was just released by Dixie Belle. It's called Sawmill Gravy. And it's basically a creamy white color, but with some gray undertones. So I'm kind of, the nursery colors I already know are going to be teal, gray, and white. So I'm using that as my inspiration. So I wanted to make my antlers in gray. And I'm going to do those in a dark gray color. So I think for that, we're going to use Dixie Belle Hurricane Gray, which is this deeper gray here. I want to have nice contrast against the background of the vintage duck egg. Okay, so I'm going to take my stencil brush, and I just use the lid of my containers, and then I've got a towel down on my surface here. So I will dab my stencil brush in the lid of my... Hang on, I forgot a step. I'm going to go backwards, guys. Okay. Before I put any paint on my stencil, you guys, I want to seal these edges because when I remove my stencil, I want to have super clean lines on the edges of my stencil here. So I'm going to use Dixie Belle Gator Hide. I know a lot of people might use Mod Podge for this, but I'll tell you right now, the Gator Hide is a game changer. It's so much easier to use than Mod Podge. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to go around and seal all the edges of my stencil here. I'm going to hold my board up. It's going to be upside down. This is a clear coat. So how it works is the clear coat is going to seal around the edges of this stencil. And then anything that bleeds through underneath my stencil will be the clear instead of the paint I'm about to put over top. So it doesn't have to be a thick layer. You just want to make sure you get good coverage around all your edges. So nice thin layer, and it dries relatively quickly. So I'm gonna put paint on this afterwards, and we won't have a long dry time. So make sure I got good coverage all around the edges, and then anything that's bled through onto my board is going to be the clear Gator Hide. So I'm going to come down here and do the same thing to the name. And this, you don't have to be super clean about it. You just want to make sure that you're getting all around the edges. The Gator Hide is perfect for this. Gator Hide is Dixie Belle's toughest clear coat, so it also could be used over the top of this to protect your sign when you're done. It is rated for outdoor use, so if you wanted to put this on your porch or something, it would be perfect for that. So now I've got my coat of Gator Hide on here. I'm going to come in and I want to dry this for the sake of time on our video, and I'm going to hit it with a hairdryer really quick. Okay, it's such a thin coat that it really dries that quickly. So now I know that my edges of my stencil are nice and sealed with a clear. So I'm not going to get bleed through when I come here to put paint on top of my stencil. So now I can dip into my paint. I really hate that you guys can't see my face on this. You control bleeding by dry brushing the coats. Okay, yes, if you use a thin coat, this is just an easy kind of hack that will save you from that bleed through. Okay, I'm still cut off and now you guys can't see my sign. All right, it's more important that you be able to see what I'm working on. So let's go ahead and take my Dixie Belle Hurricane Gray, which is this nice warm gray here. And I'm going to add this to my antlers. And with that clear coat under here, I don't really have to be so cautious about doing thin coats or doing even dabbing, because what's bled through under my stencil is going to be that clear coat. So I think I'm going to want 2 coats of this gray. So I'm going to let it dry, and I'll come down and do my letters at the bottom, and then I can come back and add a second coat before I take my stencil off. I like the contrast of this Hurricane Gray up against the Vintage Duck Egg. Vintage Duck Egg is one of my favorite of the Dixie Belle colors. Okay, so I've got a pretty good first coat on there. On my lettering, I wanted to add a little bit of the soft pink. So now I'm going to open up my stick, shake it to stir a little bit. I'm going to open up my tea rose, and I'm also going to open up my sawmill gravy, because my idea for the lettering is to do a slight fade. So Dixie Belle is a beautiful paint for blending your paint colors together. It reacts to water really nicely, so you can use a little bit of water. and really get seamless blends. I'm going to turn this upside down just so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. I'm going to start, again, just using the lid of my paint, and I'm going to start kind of down at the bottom of my letters. Still using my Redesign with Prima stencil brushes. And I'm going to get the pink down at the bottom. I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way up my letters, I think. And then I'm going to take a clean brush and I'm going to come in with the Sawmill Gravy. And I'm going to fade my letters into the Sawmill Gravy. So my letters will be two-tone. And I can just pounce right on top of, I can go right on top of the tea rose. And that'll give me a nice smooth transition in between the two colors on my lettering. Just going to dip in and get a little bit more paint. I love these brushes. The Redesign with Prima stencil brushes are really a nice stencil brush. If you find yourself doing this a lot, they're definitely worth the investment. I use them a ton. Okay, I'm going to want 2 coats on my letters too, but I've got a pretty good first coat, and you can see I've got a nice transition between the pink and then the soft white against that. So let's come back, and I had such a thin coat of that gray paint on my antlers that I'm going to come back and do another coat of the gray paint. So just dipping back into my paint lid again. I'm just thickening up that paint so the color is nice and rich. And I don't see any of my blue peeking through. So at this point, I've got 3 brushes out and 3 colors that I'm using. 4 if you count my background color. And that's Vintage Duck Egg is my background color. My antlers are in Hurricane Gray, and then my lettering is in Tea Rose and Sawmill Gravy. All right, let's check this out. Okay, I'm doing it backwards so I can let you guys see. Make sure I didn't miss any spots. I'm just touching up any spots that look a little bit bare because I don't want to see my signboard through when I pull this out. And I actually like, I'm pouncing with my stencil brush. It's giving a little bit of texture, but I actually really like that. So now my lettering, you can tell when the paint dries because it turns, it's got a gloss, a sheen on it when it's wet. You can see right here. But when it's dry, I've got a matte finish on that. So I can tell that this lettering down here, because they're such thin coats, that dried really fast. So now I'm going to come down and same thing, I'm going to repeat exactly what I did on my first pass with the tea rose first, about 3/4 of the way up my lettering. Just making sure I get good coverage. I don't want to see any of that signboard underneath. You know what, you guys, I just realized I forgot to weed the little dot above my eye. Isn't it always the little dot above the eye? No, I can't see it. There we go. Ah, I can't see it. Okay, so I will need to add the little dot above my eye. Leave that out of my transfer for my stencil. Ah, it's always the little dot above the eye. Okay, so that's good with the tea rose, and now I'm going to come back with my Sawmill Gravy, and let's blend that up into the tea rose again. See, I'm missing the dot above my eye, and I can't see the... Oh, I just found it in the light. So this is my Sawmill Gravy up against the tea rose. I love this combination. So they just came out with the Sawmill Gravy color, and it's quickly become my favorite creamy white color. Need that dot now that I can find it. There we go. I'm just using my picking tool. See, I forgot to get the little dot off the top of my eye. So now I can put some Sawmill Gravy up into the top of that eye. And I'm going right over the top of the tea rose, so I've got a nice smooth transition between the two colors. It'll give me a nice faded look. Okay, I'm going to come back and richen up this pink a little bit. overlap it some more because I really want the dominant color on my lettering to be the pink. So it kind of blends with the sawmill gravy right on my signboard. Just pouncing the two together. Okay, you guys ready to take these off? This is always my favorite part. So now I can go ahead and pull my stencils off. And already I can see those lines are flawless. And that's the most rewarding part of doing this, is when you can pull your stencil up and see those super flawless lines in between. Ah, gorgeous. Perfect. I'll come in and get an up close after I get all this vinyl off so I can show you guys. It's the gator hide. The gator hide underneath the paint seals off those edges and gives you really, really clean, crisp lines. So now if I come in here and show you, you guys can see I have zero bleed through from my paint to my signboard. Super clean. So now let's take off my lettering down here. Why is that so satisfying? And you can see how my letters fade into each other. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I'm super pleased with this. So then I will weed out the center of my A. I'm just using my picking tool and pulling out, kind of dig it into the middle, trying not to scratch my signboard. And then I use my fingernails. Once I have a little edge up, I can use my fingernails. And already I can tell around the edges of my lettering, I've got zero bleed through on there. That's the gator hide under your paint. So it can serve double duty. It can be a nice, beautiful, clean, durable top coat over your sign when you're done. And it can also prevent bleed through. Love, love, love. I love the transition in between the pink and the sawmill gravy, the tea rose and the sawmill gravy. So that's my sign, and it still looks a little bit plain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a transfer now. So let me clean up a little bit of my brushes and get these out of the way. Close up some of this paint. And we will add a quick transfer in here because the floral is really going to make this all come together. Okay, let's get this paint out of the way. So, transfers by Redesign with Prima come in large sheets, and when you order them, they usually come in 2 to 3 large dresser drawer size sheets. Now, when I use one, if I don't use it all, I will save the scraps of my transfers. So I just put them into a little Ziploc bag, and then they're perfect for small projects like this, like signs. So I can choose a cute floral. These are different transfers. Similar coloring, but I can choose what I want, and I'm just using scraps that I have previously used. Even filigree like this can be really pretty to add some detail at the bottom of a sign. So I might use that too. I actually really like that. Yeah, that's kind of cute too. So we might do the filigree and then one of my florals here. So let's see. I think this is more appropriately sized for my sign itself. So I think we're going to use this one here. And I'm going to put this up in between in the center of my antlers at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the filigree first. So I'm going to take, it comes in a clear sheet that's got your actual transfer on it, and then it's got a white backing. Once you remove this white backing, this is an adhesive. So you want to be careful. This is going to stick to whatever you touch it to. You can cut your transfers up into little pieces like this to use them for different projects and really get multiple projects out of one transfer. So now I'm going to center it onto my signboard, right up fitting in between my antlers. So here's kind of the placement I chose. It's just, it kind of feeds up into the center of them right here. And then in the box with your transfer, you will get a transfer tool. I have mine out on my table here. Oh, where'd it go? Okay, let me grab another transfer tool. Okay, oh, and I just found it. It was hiding right here behind my gator hide. So you will get a transfer tool in the box. And you just take this stick and you're going to rub over the top of your transfer. So this is going to take a relatively simple transfer and it's going to give it that extra, or a relatively simple stencil design, and it's going to give it that extra detail. So I'm going to rub it over the top of all of my transfer, and then I can come in here and I can start peeling this back. And you want to peel it slowly, making sure that it's all attached as you go. So I kind of rub it a second time as I'm peeling. You don't want to go too quickly because then any edges that might not have gotten all the way attached, you'll pull those up. So you want to kind of go slow. Okay. And so this is just a little scrap of filigree, but it's the perfect color for my antlers. Where did you get the transfers? Dixie Belle actually carries a variety of the Redesign with Prima transfers too. So same link at the top, you can get everything I'm using tonight. Same link at the top. So this transfer, I can tell, this is a piece of a transfer that's called Roses and Rouge. This is just a little cutout piece of it. So these are a couple different ones that I've just got scraps left over from. But this is the Roses and Rouge. Is this Roses and Rouge? Now I'm questioning myself. But this is a piece of a larger size transfer. I'll show you the tubes before I get off. Here we go. I've got one right here. So they come in a tube like this. And this is the Rose Celebration transfer. And then when you pop it open, you get in the container, you'll get your transfer in a roll like this. And you can tell this one's several sheets. So what I'm using, if you're using these for signs, you're going to get several uses out of one full transfer. Some of them are easier to cut up than others. The designs are more separated on the sheets. And then you get the transfer tool in the tube as well. And then this is an example of what one of the sheets would look like out of the packaging. So you can see how large it is. And then these would be perfect florals to cut out and use on a sign background. Some of these are great. But Dixie Belle also carries a variety of the Redesign with Prima transfers. So now I need to figure out my placement for this floral at the top of my antlers here. It's kind of large, and I don't want to cover up the actual antlers themselves. Let me see if I've got a slightly smaller floral in my scraps. And I don't. I could cut up a new one, but I really don't want to. I'm going to make this work. Okay, so once I have it off on the clear backing, you really only get one try to get your placement right. So you want to make sure when I set this against this signboard that I've got the placement that I like on it. So I'm thinking kind of like this. Could go sideways, but then I feel like it covers too much of my antlers up. And that looks upside down. So I'm thinking like this. And I'll move it kind of up and down and play with my placement, just eyeballing it. And thinking like right there is good. So then I will come in again with my transfer tool and I'm going to rub this on. And you can see when you're rubbing your transfer on, let me get up close here, it starts getting air bubbles underneath. Can you see how that's a little bit white up in the corner? Once it's got those little air bubbles under the corner, you can tell that's when it's releasing from the backing. So now I can tell that that area is already attached. Right here it was not. So those air bubbles are your friend. You want to look for the air bubbles. Look for where it starts turning white because then you know it has detached from the clear backing. And then same thing, I'm going to pull this away slowly. This is a little more solid of a transfer, and I rub while I'm pulling it away. Because pulling up this clear paper is going to want to pull at pieces of your transfer already. Are they expensive? Okay, so one roll of transfers, they start in the $25 range. But here's what I like to consider. So I'm going to show you guys this piece of furniture behind me. I feel like this added a lot to this furniture piece and made it look really custom. So for a $25 investment, I upcharge on my furniture pieces for it. If I'm using it for sign making, you're going to get so many signs out of one transfer. You know, you'll probably, some transfers like Lavender Fields will give you, you know, 20 or 30 of these floral pieces here, where you could invest $25, but you get, you know, 20 or 30 signs that have a custom floral on them. So I think they're worth the investment. A lot of them too, I actually get more than one use out of. So for example, these are scrap pieces that I use the larger portion on a furniture piece, and then I'm able to use my scraps to make a sign or something. So then I've got this little flower here that kind of matches, so I can choose a place on my sign. Then I might want to place this. And I kind of feel like, you know, off to the side would be kind of cute, like here. You know, I like that location. Either side would work. After the name would be cute. So this was a fairly simple sign, and I feel like the floral details added a lot of interest to it. Some of the larger transfers can get up into the $40 range, but those are ones that are usually large single sheets that you would use on, say, the front of a dresser. So I think for the price and the amount that you get, it makes it reasonable. All right, how cute is that? So once I've got my transfer fully on here, I like to take and burnish my transfer. So what burnish means is to rub over the top of it. And you can use a super fine grit sandpaper, a really fine steel wool will work. But what I'm doing here is I want to make sure all the edges of this transfer are attached to my signboard. So this is a 220 grit sanding pad from Dixie Belle. And I go around this. And I go around very slowly because I don't want to pull any of the edges up. If I see any that are kind of lifted, I'll just push them down with my finger. Make sure that adhesive is well adhered. You want to do this to all of your transfer before you put your clear coat on. If your transfer has bubbles in it or places it's not well adhered, the clear coat can bleed underneath and it can start lifting it. So you want to make sure all these edges are nice and well adhered. No air bubbles in there. And now I could go back and clear coat this. And I've got a totally cute little custom sign that it's going to be a gift. My sister can hang this on her nursery wall. But I think the strengths of Dixie Belle are having that clear coat that you can use as a clear coat over your whole sign. It also prevented the bleed through on my paint. They have 69 colors in the line. So I just used 4 here today, but there's some amazing color combinations. And then you saw how well those colors blended together to get this two-tone look down here. So some real strength. So if you guys click on my link above, an 8-ounce container of Dixie Belle paint starts at $9.95 too. So for sign making, you get a lot of bang for your buck at a really reasonable price, and it's a very high quality paint. Dixie Belle is self-leveling, has a built-in top coat, has the 69 colors that are available. So it's optional. If I don't want to seal this, I don't have to. I don't have to. This is going to be a sign for the wall. It will get minimal finger wear, so I don't need to seal it for, you know, like regular wash downs or anything. Yeah, I love the color choices too. So the soft pink color with the nice blue background, it looks like it should be in a baby girl's nursery. So I hope that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable using some of the Dixie Belle products, the gator hide and the paints for sign making, for making products with your Cricut and your silhouette. You can use Dixie Belle on fabrics. You can use Dixie Belle on fabrics. If you choose to use it on fabrics, you do want to heat set it after you're done. But you can use this on fabric, on wood, anything you choose, and it's got great adherence. So thank you, Denise, so much for having me. I'm sorry it was a little scatterbrained tonight. I got a really cute project out of it. I'm pretty proud of myself. If you guys don't already, go follow my page at Brushed by Brandy. If you want to check out any of the products I used tonight, the transfers, the paint, check out the link above in the post. But you guys have a great weekend. Have a great weekend, and thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege to be part of your group. Have a good one, guys.